Sorry fam, hold off on your disappointment for now. Momoshiki hasn't made any moves yet, and it's likely he won't appear until Boruto is truly cornered and forced to use his karma. And Kawaki finally shows up in this chapter. But whether he's already at his potential status or not, we'll have to wait for confirmation on the 20th. I know it feels too soon, but for now, Boruto still can't defeat Jura, so Chapter 22 spoilers are here. The title of Chapter 22 is Jura, and Boruto is the cover. But anyway, since this is just a spoiler, which means it is just a summary of the text, so this video will be in two parts. First, after yesterday's leak, we got this one page where Jura came through the claw marks on Sumeaka's body at Sarada's place, and some assumptions from the Boruto community, including myself, mentioned that Jura came to snatch Togadama from Ryu's destroyed body. It turns out we were all wrong, guys, because actually Jura came to Sarada's place and the others because of access. In other words, he couldn't go directly to Boruto's place because there was no access to it due to Matsuri's body that had been broken into pieces. And this reason is proven in this chapter because Jura, who appeared at Sarada's location, merely glanced at them without giving any reaction at all. He even ignored the opportunity to immediately retrieve the floating Togadama Ryu. The very first thing he did at that moment was ignore Sarada and Togadama, and instead flew into the sky to locate Boruto's position and headed toward him at high speed. And here's the next leak. The real fight has begun. I can't comment too much because this is really peak. Boruto tried to slash Jura, but holy shit. Look guys, Jura blocked the attack with his middle finger like, fuck Boruto. Sorry, my bad. So, here's part 2. In accordance with Jura's intention from the beginning, after Boruto learned about the secret, the Togadama, Jura had decided to kill him. And because of that, even though Sarada was unconscious after running out of so much chakra, and even Mitsuki, Arya, and Yodo were helpless, Jura did not care about them. Jura ignored Ryu's Togadama, and probably because he was sure that no one could take it so it could be retrieved later. In fact, Jura only looked at Sarada with an expression that might be a little suspicious. But Jura's main focus was on finding Boruto. Matsuri, who had been shattered into pieces, now Matsuri's body turned into a Togadama. And because this was a good opportunity, Konohamaru immediately took the Togadama and secured it. And after Jura realized Boruto's location, he did not teleport to him but flew towards Boruto at high speed. I don't know if this part comes next in the actual sequence, but the key moment is when, during the fight, Jura begins to test Boruto emotionally by talking about love, something he considers to be the absolute weakness of humanity. The fight between Jura and Boruto is truly peak. Boruto uses a Rasengan to push Jura downward. However, Jura twists his body mid-air and fires a Rinnegan-style Jubidama at Boruto. But this time, the situation is different. Previously, Boruto was critically hit by Jura's Jubidama and left nearly dead because Jura attacked him from a blind spot. But now, Boruto easily dodges the attack using the Hiraishin no Jutsu. The fight between the two was really intense until Boruto was caught by Mokuton and lost his katana. But when Jura wanted to take Boruto's katana, but Boruto managed to destroy Mokuton and teleport to his katana. And for the first time, Boruto used the Uzuhiko technique to attack Jura as a 10-tail reincarnation. But unfortunately, because Boruto didn't have a partner to help him maximize the potential of planetary chakra, because he didn't use Kagabunshin and even Konohamaru didn't help him, the power of the Uzuhiko was not maximized, and even the effect seemed so weak when it hit Jura. But even though the Uzuhiko was not optimal for attacking Jura, but at least Uzuhiko had made Jura fall to his knees, showing that there was an effect from the attack. This effect is like dizziness, and the world spinning when Boruto uses that technique on Code. But this time the case is different. Jura managed to neutralize Uzuhiko with principles like his Biju Bomb. But even though Koji has repeatedly said and reminded that Jura is an absolute villain who currently cannot be defeated, Boruto continues to try to attack Jura with all the techniques that can be used. But it seems not for now. No matter how strong and how much Boruto fights Jura, in the end, Boruto's attack seems to fail and creates a sense of desperation. But guys, since this is just a summary, there's no confirmation whether Boruto will die or even if he'll win. But it looks like until the 20th we'll get the real answer. Oh yeah, the spoiler text ends with a moment of despair and Ida and Kawaki discussing, concluding that Boruto has no chance of winning for now. And allow me to highlight chapter 22 a bit. First of all, this was beyond our expectations, guys. Especially me. I thought that this would be a transition scene where we would see Code return with his new plan. Even we also must have expected that Momoshiki would show his existence and possess Boruto in order to protect him and fight against Jura, or Kawaki with his new potential. But unfortunately, we were all fooled by Masashi Kishimoto. But anyway, if we talk a little bit about Uzuhiko, I'm sure, and you guys will agree, that it's actually an ability that can absolutely defeat Jura. Because even if Boruto doesn't use his full planetary chakra, it already causes an effect on his opponent. But sadly, this is Boruto's big weakness. He didn't use a single Kage Bunshin, even though he's the son of Naruto Uzumaki, the man literally synonymous with shadow clones. And besides, if Boruto wants to use the Uzuhiko Jutsu powerfully, then he should need to practice Sennin mode and share focus with his Kage Bunshin so that the process of absorbing planet Earth chakra is not disturbed by enemies. Just like Naruto when fighting pain, he uses 2 Kage Bunshin to use Sage mode on Miyaboku Mountain, so that 1 Kage Bunshin is lost, the Sage mode chakra moves to Naruto's original body. But is it possible that in the future, Boruto will master the Sannin mode technique? I know it's hard to believe, but if the oldest frog who trained Naruto to learn Sennin mode is still alive until the Boruto era, it's still quite plausible that in the future Boruto will have the possibility to master Sage mode. But anyway, guys, speaking of Jura, I'm a little guessing that this Jura has big plans. In other words, he's gathering Sumeaka troops, or even turning some shinobi into divine tree people. And of all those goals, none other than to capture an Otsutsuki that will be used as food for 10 tails. But it's not just about the 5th Shinobi World War, but it's bigger than that. Either make Code into an Otsutsuki god who consumes chakra fruit, or Jura himself evolves into an Otsutsuki god. But from those 2 possibilities, I slightly suspect that the real goal is to awaken Otsutsuki Ishiki by making Jura or even Code, who has Ishiki's white karma, into an Otsutsuki. And yeah, that's it. I can't assume too much because it would be a bunch of nonsense, but from your perspective, does it make sense too, guys? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, like and subs. I'm Nim. See you on the 20th. Bye-bye, Data Bio.